remarks about the gentleman from California. I'd like to talk about a couple other impacts. Some are in the interior budget, some are in another budget we haven't touched yet, because Mike was talking very eloquently about the impact. These impacts are falling most on rural residents and on rural small businesses, areas that are, for the most part, still pretty darn depressed in this country. A lot of my rural areas are still seeing, they're well into double-digit unemployment. And I was talking to the chief of the Forest Service, granted a different budget, one that hasn't gotten on the Republican radar screen yet, although I was talking to a Republican leader this morning who said they may yet do whack-a-mole on this one to try and fix it. And that is that the chief of the Forest Service has an obligation when timber is sold to a private party to have Forest Service employees monitor those sales. He has not found a way to declare those employees as essential, and as of Monday is going to end somewhere between 400 and 500 active timber sales, bumping up against the winter season where many people won't be able to operate depending on where the sale is, and incurring obviously penalties on the federal government because he does not have the staff to go out and monitor those sales. I don't yet know about the Bureau of Land Management timber sales. They are a fairly unique thing. They happen on the statutorily unique lands of the Oregon and California lands in Oregon. We've been in touch with the BLM. We don't yet have an answer about how they're going to handle it. Much of the restoration work from recent fires cannot be considered emergency. Some of it can, most of it can't. And that work is not ongoing. Certainly any responsible timber salvage that might happen is not even being considered, and we're losing critical time there where those activities might be conducted. And this morning, we did get the World War II memorial reopened only for honor flights, World War II veterans, I believe, and maybe other veterans. I'm not sure exactly of the categories that were established. There were 2 rangers there this morning. I encountered a problem. I was there to greet a large contingent from Oregon, wonderful people who put their lives on the line. We're looking at a group here who are fairly elderly, and the adjacent bathrooms are not open. I went and asked the rangers if they could give me the key, and they said, "We don't have the key. That's maintenance." So we placed a call to the Park Service looking for the, whoever is the highest ranking person not being paid to stay home. And I got a fellow who's in charge of at least the World War II memorial and some other grounds. And he said, "I am prohibited from doing that. I don't have that authority." I've now called the White House to ask them. I mean, come on. Restrooms for very elderly men and women who put their lives on the line, saved the country from the horrors of World War II, and we can't open the bathroom facilities. Heck, I'll go down and volunteer to refill the toilet paper rolls and clean up at night, if we do that. I think other people I know would do that. We've just got to end this. And I mean, it just became so bizarre today that Congress voted unanimously to pay a majority of the federal workforce to stay home and not provide public services. To make what point? Let's just go ahead with a continuing resolution that doesn't change anything. We can adopt the lower levels of spending that the Republicans have advocated for. Why can't we do that for 4 or 6 weeks? Open up the refuges so the business can flow again to those areas, because these hunting seasons are ephemeral, as are these timber sales, as are other things. And I'd like to, there's another impact. The Student Conservation Association of the Interior Department has been shut down. So again, hundreds of interns sent home who were providing public services. And then also in the other budget, agriculture, the Job Corps has been shut down. Thousands of young, at-risk people have been sent home. I don't know how many of my colleagues have ever gone to a Job Corps. It is the most inspiring thing, and these kids are learning skills. These are high at risk. Many have been in trouble. Kids, young people, young adults. They're getting skills and they're getting jobs. They want to be there. They're working hard. They have been sent home. Some of them don't have a home to go to. With that, I yield to my colleague from California.